and this is a wonderful negotiation team here that they told me to moderate this program, and I said yes, 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 because I do my own podcast and I also do a game show. And so I love meeting people, I love hosting, and this is fun. This is a coffee chat, right? Coffee chat that we're doing. And it's not the same as being in person, but also even nicer that we are online and we are with wonderful people from all over the world here, right? From Africa, from uh, America, and other places too. We have people from Lima, and so very amazing to meet wonderful people here. And we're going to be talking to Catherine in a little bit here, asking her some questions here in a bit. And yeah, just excited to be here. So yeah, now the first person is gonna be, shall we go ahead and start with the questions?
Yeah, Omar, maybe I can start.
Yeah, go ahead. So Yusra is gonna go ahead and
Oh,
start with, go ahead. Yep.
thank you. Thank you so much. Maybe my first question is to Mr. Lee, and I'm very curious and to know the most and the best strategies that he uses in his negotiation. So, Lee, in over 40 years of project management now, can you give us an example of the fastest negotiation you have ever contacted? And what was the determining factor that made it so smooth?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I do have a lot of experience in negotiating, but there's a rule that I always had that I followed, and that is I think that negotiations are won or lost based on how well you prepare for the negotiation. So for me, I always try to determine three levels of potential approach. That would be the best case if everything I could get was what I wanted, the fallback position, being willing to give up some of the things that I would like to have had. And then finally, there needs to be a walkaway. One of the problems we have with negotiations is we get so focused on getting a settlement that we end up with a bad negotiation. So people have to be prepared to walk away, to say, no, it doesn't look like we're going to get an agreement. And I practice this in everything I do. In my salary, when I was working for companies, I use the same approach. What did I want to have? What did I think I was worth, so to speak? What did the company think I was worth? And if we couldn't come to an agreement, then I'd change jobs. And it's worked for me every time. I've never had a walkaway. I've never had to execute a walkaway position. But I think people need to understand you have to draw the line. How far am I willing to go to reach a settlement? And I think that's an important thing to understand. That means you've got to research the person you're negotiating with to understand what their three positions are. And once you have a better understanding of those positions, yours and theirs, it really is not that difficult to get to an agreement. Both parties, that's why we call them compromise. Both parties have to understand you're not going to get everything you want. You have to be willing to know what can I give up and still feel comfortable with the settlement. So I think that's the practice that I've used. I negotiated the biggest salary my company's ever had in 1977 by using that technique, by being able to know what they needed. They needed me because they were forming a new PMO organization, the first one that's ever been in existence, as far as I know. So I knew they needed that. I knew I needed more money because I had a family growing up and they cost a lot of money. And so I was in a position of strength. You want to try to negotiate from a position of strength. And if you understand the other party's needs, you're going to be much better off in that regard.
Right. Insightful, yeah. But Lee, what was the most difficult or let's say time-consuming negotiation of your career, okay? And how did you manage to maintain the commitment and focus with all stakeholders?
Yeah, the biggest challenge I had was in a project for the U.S. government. It was about $300 million a year program located on 5 geographic sites. So I had to negotiate with the public in each one of those geographical sites because we were planning on putting high-level radioactive waste in the ground in those particular geographies. And so we had to find out what was important to the public, because ultimately the public's going to decide where the government puts that kind of stuff. And so I think I spent 3 years negotiating with the
Wow.
Indians on the reservation, the people in the local school districts, all the people that were going to be impacted by that negotiation. And the other thing you got to remember is you have to broaden your thinking, because when we talk about stakeholders, negotiations have more than just me and you. They have all the other people that those negotiations can have an impact on. So we spent almost 3 years. We finally got to an agreement. And when we turned it to the public for a vote, they voted it down. So all that work went for nothing. And that high-level radioactive waste is still being stored on nuclear reactor sites, to the extent that they're now having to shut down nuclear reactors because they don't have a place to store the high-level radioactive waste.
Wow. 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 3 years. Yeah. Right. Lee, maybe I have another question. If you're looking back over your career, how has your negotiation philosophy and how it evolves? What there specific moment or project that changed your approach significantly?
Yeah, I think that what you have to understand is when I negotiate, I always go into it with a win-win attitude. I don't
Yeah.
want to make people angry with me. I don't want to be able to say I won, you lost. I want it to be a win-win situation, and that's one of the things that I practice throughout my time in the project world, is trying to make sure that when a negotiation finished, the people walk away with a smile on their face. They don't walk away angry. They realized they couldn't have gotten everything, but I made it clear that what we could do and what we couldn't do. And what you have to understand is it's really not, at the end of the day, it's not really about you or the person you're negotiating with. It's about all those stakeholders that it's going to impact. So that person, me, and that individual is really representing a huge cast of people that can be impacted by the outcome of that negotiation. So I always went into it with a win-win. I want people to be happy, but I want them to be realistic in terms of what their expectations are.
Mhm. But sometimes the one first of view, it isn't easy to manage. So if you had to negotiate with the snake, let's say someone difficult, what would what would you approach it? And do you have any strategy and specific strategies for dealing with such situations?
Well, I think what I learned over the years was occasionally you have to enter into your walkaway position. Basically, have to say, it's obvious we're not going to come to an agreement here. So let's not waste any more of our time. So once you do that, once you walk away, what you've done is you've established with that person, you're willing to walk away. You're willing to not have a settlement in the interest of parity. And so that it's not good for just me. It's not good just for them, but I'm willing to walk away knowing that they need to settle as well. So you have to be willing to walk away. And I think that's an area where I've watched this happen, where people will keep negotiating until neither party's happy, but they have a settlement. They've reached an agreement, not an agreement they're necessarily happy with, but that's because they made the objective of the negotiation to reach a settlement. And if it's not a fair settlement to all parties, then you're going to have some difficulties executing it.
Okay. Thank you, Lee. Thank you. Yes, it's very insightful. Yeah. So I don't know if we have volunteer here, PMI volunteer.
That's a question.
Yes, yeah. Hi.
Yes. Hi. Hello. Yes.
Yeah.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon for some of you, maybe. Mariana. Congratulations for this talk show, really, especially to my friends Mariana and Robinson. And hello, Lee. We've met at the PMI Rock event last year in Lima, so I remember you. Yeah, happy to be in touch here. Yeah, well, my question is especially important after your last answer, Lee, because, for instance, how can you try to negotiate in a good way, of course, when you are in a position where your counterpart has a lot of power and you really don't? It's a kind of David versus Goliath, but you are David. What can you do to survive or get a good deal if it's possible?
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things you have to understand is in negotiation, especially in organizations, you're going to be dealing with these people repeatedly. And so one of the things you don't want to do is lose the relationship and be able to say you won the negotiation. That's fine. You might win this one, but you won't win the next one because you've damaged the relationship. Everything we do in project management is based on relationships. And if you build that strength in that relationship, reaching a resolution in a negotiation is not that difficult.
Yeah, but what happens if the other part doesn't want to leave that dominant position and they don't want to get a win-win deal and they are not ready to negotiate? Maybe they want to impose something for you, and what can you do? How can you go to the negotiation way?
It depends on what the backing of your boss is, so to speak. But when I've encountered people, and I've encountered some people like that, we call them hard asses. They want their way. That's all they care about. And I've had to walk away. And I've risked some things because my management didn't want a walk-away position. They wanted a settlement. But it was obvious the individual was doing a power play and going to get everything he or she wanted as part of the negotiation. I couldn't allow that to happen. So I walked away.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But that's it, Lee. And what would you give? What advice would you give to the project managers on how to strike the right balance between decisiveness and in-depth analysis during negotiations? Because it's very important to them as a project manager. They deal with a large number of stakeholders.
Well, I think you have to understand that in project management, one of the benefits we have now, especially with AI, by the way, is that we can now look at alternatives. We can now look at outcomes if we take one angle, outcomes if we take another approach. And so now we can start to look at what can we really give up? What can we really allow to happen in order to be successful? Because I don't want to damage the relationship by saying it's my way or the highway. But I do want to understand what can I afford to give up to reach a settlement, because I want to not damage the relationship. When the relationship's over, when the negotiation ends, I want to go have a coffee or a drink with this person. We want to be friends. If you make enemies in negotiation, it will come back to haunt you.
I have a question based on the Hi, Lee. How are you? This is Robinson. Yeah, based on your recent answer and the previous one, what I infer is that you are always, when you sit to negotiate, you are always keeping inside the long term, right? Because what I understood is I don't care winning the first battle when I know that we'll probably lose the war, right? So that's what says your approach when you sit to negotiate, winning finally the war. I mean, not literally, because winning the war is to get a fair negotiation scheme where you have 50-50 or 60-40 or something like that, but both parts are happy with that deal, right?
No, that's correct. And I think it is important to, this kind of gets to my comment about preparation. The preparation that goes into successful negotiations, it takes a lot of time. In fact, some of the people that I work with say that preparation is 75 to 80% of the negotiation. Is being able to go to that negotiation knowing all the facts, knowing the battle versus the war, the short term versus the long term. And sometimes you'll reach a settlement that isn't necessarily what you would like to have, but you know that that has to happen before the next settlement, which is the war, and the example you've used is going to be the most important one. So in other words, I have to be prepared to give up something to get something.
Thank you.
Lee, maybe I have another questions regarding, let's say, in your opinion, at what point can you say that a negotiation has failed? What's the definition?
Well,
Failed because I lose the contract, I lose the relationship with the other person. I don't know.
I think that's a good context to put it in. I think you have to understand that when you lose a negotiation, if you don't lose a friendship, if you don't lose a relationship, you've just lost a negotiation. If you lose rapport with the individual you're going to negotiate with, you're going to be negotiating with them on a repetitive basis. I can almost assure you, in the project management world, every time there's a new project, we start all over in the negotiation process. And so I've got to make sure that I don't make enemies. Now, I'm going to be honest with you here. I've ended some negotiations where the person on the other side of the table was not happy. But I also recognized that I had to do what I had to do in the interest of the organization. It's not about me personally. It's not about you personally. It's about the organization. And if we can put it in that context, we should be able to do a very effective job of negotiations to where both parties walk away. The way I put it is a successful negotiation means both parties walk away not happy. They didn't get all they wanted, but they got enough, and I got enough that we part friends, and we got some things done for the project.
It's interesting, yeah, because even in my training sessions on negotiations, I have many participants ask me, which is more important, business goals or relationship? So, and this is the balance. Okay,
One bridge the other. If relationships get business objectives done, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
If you don't have good relations with the people you're working with, they'll make sure you don't get the job done. So there's a lot of human aspects to this game of negotiation, but it's actually, some people won't agree with this, but I think it's kind of fun to negotiate, to see how effective we can come to a settlement where both parties walk away dissatisfied but happy.
Yeah, definitely, yes. Thank you, Lee.
I guess
So
Catherine is raising the hand. Will you give the word to her?
maybe I have, yes, another
Thank you.
question. Yeah, go.
I,
It's
and
not a problem.
thank you, Robinson. Hi, Lee. It was a pleasure to see you again. I saw with Lee in Ecuador, uh, Los Angeles, and what else? And the last year in Lima. So it was
Yeah,
like a friend. Yeah, Lee. Lee, I have a question that is relation with the other question. For example, when you face with a power imbalance where other and the other part has significantly more leverage, how do you ensure that your interests are still adequately represented and protected without conceding too much?
well, you may not be able to. That, I think, you kind of answered your own question. If they have power and they can force a negotiation outcome, you have to be prepared to say, I can't give that. I can't give that up. That's that walk away position. Because even with all the power in the world, you still have the strength to be able to say, we can't conclude this negotiation. It's not going where it needs to go for the organization. Again, don't let it become personal. It's not personal. I ran into a thing in Minneapolis once where the guy that was negotiating wanted his way, and he had a lot of money, and he's a big, you'd know the name if I mentioned it, and he basically just knew he had the power to do whatever he wanted. And so I got in this elevator and we're going down, and he looked over to me and he goes, "Why are you so upset?" I said, "Well, because I don't feel like this is a mutual agreement." He said, "Lee, this is this is not personal. This is business." He said,
Yeah.
"From a business perspective, I like you. I mean, I didn't like him, but he liked me." And I basically said, I just can't deal with you. And he said, "I don't understand. This is not, you're taking it too personally. This is business." And that's what negotiation should be. Here's the way I put it. If you go into negotiation and you have a personal interest in the outcome, get somebody else to do the negotiation.
You know, Lee, there is a saying in Peru that says a cougar, a mountain lion, only steps back 1 meter to jump ahead 5. I don't know if that synthesizes the spirit of giving up to a certain given negotiation, because that's not the wisest choice to sit to negotiate when
Sure.
you don't have the power enough to negotiate with your counterpart. And in the end, even if you win that battle, in the end, you will lose the war, right?
That's right. No, I agree with you 100%. Absolutely correct.
Thank you.
One of the other things I should have mentioned that I think is important in negotiation is to be prepared with alternatives. Be prepared with something that might not be exactly what the other individual wanted, but it's close or it's near it. So that you can continue to throw out alternatives. What you're doing is giving them a chance to settle, even though they might not like it. They will see it as a settlement on their part because they took advantage of an alternative. So you got to prepare those alternatives so people know that it's not black and white. Negotiations is gray for sure.
But
Yes.
do you remember, Lee, any episode in your long experience when you had to give up a negotiation, and you in the future you congratulate yourself because that give up, in other words, losing that battle, allowed you to win the war? I'm sure
Sure.
you have plenty of those to
Yeah,
tell
plenty.
us.
Probably one. I know you and I have the same haircut, so probably do have a lot of them from pulling out my hair. But yeah, I don't mind giving up. Like you said, one step 5 step forward, 1 step back. I don't mind doing that. at the end of the day, I'm going to be where I want to be.
Lee, and how do you start a negotiation with a close friend, for example? What is the first line or the second line that you always start in this type of negotiation with a person that you like so much?
Well, I always start with a devoted amount of time to just what I call rapport setting. Just kind of, let the tension drop, let the anxiety go away. We're friends here. We got a deal we got to do. So I try to make sure that the person is not antagonistic in the beginning. Even though if I know them, I want to set that rapport setting. This comes even before preparation in some cases, where I build that relationship to begin the negotiation. I've already built the relationship. Now we can go forward with the black and white of the process.
Yeah. Lee, you have.
Catherine, by the way,
Thank you.
You are one of the most effective rapport setting people I've ever seen. You go up to strangers and act like they're your best friend. That's such a strong trait. And in negotiations, it's so important. It's important that people like you because that impacts their outcome.
Yeah, that's so important at the beginning, right, Lee? Because if you don't build this type of relationship, you can continue. Sometimes it's very difficult continue negotiation with a close friend because sometimes you don't have a direction. But in the other cases, it's very easily continue the negotiation.
Yeah, you don't want to you got to go into recognizing this is a negotiation for an outcome. It has nothing to do with you and I personally. It's what we need to do for the organization. I think if you can go into it in that way, you'll be fine.
Lee, you are a founder of the PMI, and we all are aware of that. But 40 years ago, empathetic was not a must. It was more like how can I say? It's something you build with experience, but there was not a body of knowledge addressing what important is assertive communication or establishing empathy or things like that. You learn the hard way, right? So what was the key point that made you focus on the mastering on the art of building a strong bond of we say now let's click, right? Because we use a mouse. Everyone uses a mouse. So click means connecting with people.
Sure.
What?
Let me tell you that the interesting part about the PMP was that we the five of us that started it, we kind of selected the primary motivation, which was to convert project management from a hobby into a profession. That was really what we wanted to do. And so everything that we did, and I can remember negotiating with the president of the organization, Ken Hartley, about a couple of topics that he started to stray away from that. We had to pull him back to say, it's going to be easier to get people to get behind this idea when we make it out that it's really their opportunity to be part of a professional organization. And that's the approach we took. We had to do PDUs, we had to do application, we had to do all the tailor work. But the fact of the matter was, at the end of the day, if somebody were to say, why are we doing this? Why are we spending all this time? Well, it's because we want to form a profession. And that's still, you even talk to Pierre now, he understands that. He recognizes the power of saying you're part of the profession. And I think that was the thing that kind of guided us. Yes, we had lots of work to do and lots of documents to create and so on. But at the end of the day, who's going to argue with you? Are you a professional or are you not?
Super. Thank you.
Very shy people today.
They need some coffee to trigger the mood.
The strong coffee. Lee, I think negotiation for the moment it is not just a skill. I think is strategic advantage for the project managers. And maybe what's the impact? What made them more, let's say, impactful? How they impact their leadership as a project manager? How negotiation would be a strategic advantage for all the project management to elevate their leadership and to resolve problems, to drive results. Okay, so what's the impact of being a very good or an excellent negotiator?
Yeah, let me step back to 1969 when the PMI was actually formed, well before the PMP. It's easy to convince leadership to be a little bit more accepting when all their projects are going south. When their projects are losing money, not getting to the market in time, it's pretty easy to say, look, if you were to use project management the way we see it being done, you'd make money, you'd get things delivered on time. So you see what I'm winning in that negotiation is I'm winning their attitude, but the reason is different than what I'm talking about. Their reason is profitability and maintaining market share. I'm saying as a byproduct of doing project management correctly, all of your objectives will be satisfied. And that's what really converted the management, the leadership of some of these early organizations. But you have to remember that in the beginning, it was really about construction. PMI was really formed, driven by construction projects having trouble. Brown and Root, Davis out in Atlanta, they recognized that we had to do something about it. Well, in the meantime, we abandoned construction. And now we're bringing it back. We actually have a new certificate called the construction professional. So we're recognizing the amount of money that's on the books for construction projects through the decade, through the end of this decade. You're going to die when you hear this number: $69 trillion. That's how many projects we anticipate are going to be done. We're going to need millions of new project managers. And so we have to go into that understanding that leadership has a specific set of objectives that may not be a direct match with your objectives. But at the end of the day, if achieving yours helps achieve theirs, then we have a positive relationship developed.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. But I'm going to also get into Catherine as well. She's also very important. And so let's go ahead and introduce her a little bit and ask her some questions, okay? So Catherine, thank you for being here. And you are an awesome person. From what I see, you are president of the PMI Lima, and you do TED Talks as well, which is amazing. And I appreciate you being here. Let me ask you an interesting question. So, first of all, what actually got you into the TED Talks and made you wanna do those? How did you get into TED Talks and making those talks? We can start with that, basically. I think that might be interesting. Are you
Hi,
muted?
yeah,
Okay, there you
hi,
go. I can hear you. There
yeah,
you go. Thank
hi,
you.
hi, Omar. So I am about my TED Talks. it was about 2 weeks approximately, and my team, it was about focus on how you achieve your dream and help the other person. Help, for example, you need to start for her about then your family, and then others. And I shared how mm, I share about the history about my family, that we start with my sister as a child, and we aspired to create and to go to Germany because my mom studied at university in Germany, and all our life we want to be there, and it was our first goal. And in 2 years ago, we can achieve this trip in Germany. And I think my TED inspired to other person in the public to achieve their dreams, and the other dreams that I shared with the public. It was about you don't need at the beginning, when you start your job, you don't need to thinking about pay something and about for example, your first car, and buy something that not inspire you as a person. You need to invest first at the beginning in things, in books, and things that you be better with a society, and you be plenty in your life.
Excellent, excellent. That's Go ahead. Did you want to say more?
Yeah, I want. Let me share something.
You need
What
to share your
else?
screen.
Yeah, I want. Let me 1 minute, please. Please,
Okay,
I
yeah.
don't know
Go ahead. Take
if
your.
I. Mhm. I have the last part in my
Mm,
cell phone. Mm,
mm-hmm. Yeah, take your time.
mhm.
And as you're waiting, I know you guys are friends with Lee, and how did you guys actually get to meet? You maybe Lee can say elaborate on that, or Catherine.
Mhm. Mhm.
Catherine, I guess the question is for you.
When?
Catherine, are you there?
Yeah, yeah.
I think the question is for you.
Could you repeat the question, Robinson, please?
Omar, would you mind, please?
Yeah, yeah. So I know that Lee and Catherine, you guys have already met before, right?
Yeah, uh-huh.
How was that meeting? And it was either Catherine or Lee can address that. But yeah, tell us how you guys met.
For example, we met uh, the first time, Lee, do you remember it was in the PMI Rocks in Lima?
Yep.
The second time it was in Ecuador, or in
Los
Lima
Angeles.
too, or in USA, in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Then Ecuador.
In Ecuador the second time. In the third time, it was in Los Angeles for the Global Summit.
Yep.
Yeah. I have the first part that I want to share with you, Omar. that
Can you now share screening?
no, I have only I want to read the first part that I think is so important. So I start the tech with an important question, that what is your purpose in life, and what is the one thing that you, if you achieve it, would make you feel complete, because all that you need is not necessary material things, no? And what is the things that in your case you have a purpose, no, in your life? Because sometimes we get so caught up in our daily activities that we forget to ask ourselves if what we are doing really fulfills us. And I talk about 5 elements that you need to be present in your life when you think in a purpose, and when you write your objectives or write your goals. The first thing, it was about you need to have positive impact. The second, talk about resilience and perseverance. The third, think about personal satisfaction, and the last, it was about inspiration and legacy. Because if you achieve your goals and you achieve your dreams, all people are seeing you, and it was an inspiration to other people that can achieve their own goals. It was the main idea that I shared in the TED Talks.
Excellent. Yeah, that's important, because what you mentioned there is what is more important than your work and they're having the relationships, right, with people, or having that connection. I think is more important than, because like you mentioned, we're so busy in our lives, in work and with dealing with people and dealing with family. But the real important things is how we actually have that connection with somebody, and what they make you feel, right? Because that's the one of the most important things here. And with that, I wanted to also ask you another question here. Uh, the importance of, like, let's say, emotional intelligence uh, with negotiations, or with project management.
Yeah, I think it was so important in project management, because if you don't have, or if you don't manage your emotional intelligence in a negotiation, or if you don't manage intelligence emotional in a meeting, you don't focus uh, during the time of the meeting. You can lose your focus, or you can lose the objective of the meeting, and you can lose in other way. And you need to very pay attention, and very concentrate in your ideas. You concentrate in the objective of the agenda, and focus on that. And sometimes during the meeting, uh, happens that other person in the meeting wants to be in the other direction, or sometimes lose the papers, in some cases being very specifically. But it's so important that you maintain one position all the meeting, and think in your objectives during the meeting all the time.
Excellent, excellent. Anybody have a question? Oh, looks like Robinson has a question.
Yes, I have a question. Well, everybody knows that one of the causes why the PMI has grown so much and spread worldwide, it's because of the spirit of volunteering, right? Volunteering made the PMI grow. Nobody argues about that. I remember that in the pandemic, there was so many volunteers willing to do things because nobody could leave home, and it was the idea. So, Catherine, you as a president of the Lima PMI chapter, how did you negotiate with volunteers to keep the flame up and motivate them and convince them to continue providing support to all the programs, all the projects of volunteering?
Yeah, I think you have an important theme in this type, because volunteer is so different. First of all, a volunteer is different than a person who works in your company, right? A volunteer is a person that have free time sometimes and wants to invest their time to obtain more development professional, for example, or to obtain something in change, right? And in this case, for example, we need to negotiate with this volunteer, and at the beginning, we need to. It's important to say this. For this volunteer or for this job, you have obtained this, and start to list. Start a type of checklist. For example, at the in the first top of my list, I have developed a professional that could be capacitation, or could be, for example, to show this type of person in LinkedIn, that this person feels that beginning in our group for persons that have very similarities in project management, right? This is the first. The second is create a community, that people feel that begin in a community that share type of topics that are related to her or his job. For example, people in mining share a community that you have a webinar, for example, with topic of mining. That's very similar in other topic, that construction. That's very similar with topics in social impact, for example. This is the second. The third one is create and meetings to create connections. For example, today at night in my home, I have like a party with volunteers that they feel very happy with a community PMI Lima. And I think this is the third thing so important, that you can negotiate and the volunteers feel happy and feel comfortable with us, with the community.
Excellent. Good question. Anybody else have any other questions for Catherine? Or maybe we can
Hi.
also ask Lee as well, or if, yeah.
Do you hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Catherine. I would like to welcome you, and I'm very happy that you join us today. So I just wanted to share with you that I'm a member of PMI Lima Peru Chapter 2, and I'm very happy, and I see the great work as in your presidency, Catherine. So thank you for everything.
Thank you, Mariana. So in addition to Robinson, that complement some ideas, I think, and in looking for a resume that I said, I think that the most important is provide a purpose to the volunteers. what is the purpose to be part of the Lima community in PMI? And if the community of Lima can achieve the purpose with the volunteer, these volunteers maintain all the year with us. But if we don't match with the purpose of the volunteer, this person abandon the community. We need to maintain with purpose. We need to maintain with capacitation, building a community, and all the volunteers is so important that they feel that be part of the community and have like a friends. All the community are a friends.
So, Catherine, in that direction, I understand. I understand. Maybe I'm wrong. That you say the policy you followed during this period of your election is to continue with the portfolio of projects you inherit, right? Because every 2 years, a new directive inherit a portfolio of projects that come from the previous one and from the previous one and so on. So one of the policies I understand you go for is to support all the portfolio of projects to keeping them in time, right? Because there are many people involved in each project. So a policy of continuing, I guess it's what you're trying to say, that would be a strategy to keep the flame alive in all the volunteers, right?
Yeah. So about the policy, for example, in this year, the rate that we follow all this year, I think is about collaboration. In this year, I'm focused on collaborate with the other communities in Peru. We have 3 communities. Lima is the more big that I said, and we have the other is the north of Peru and in the south of Peru. And this year I focus on my policy, it was to share volunteers, to share collaboration in webinars, to share projects with the other communities, because we want to be growth this year, and it's so important to help to other communities, because if the other communities grow, we grow like a country.
Yeah, I have a question. Yeah, to Catherine. Hi, Catherine. How are you?
Hi, Josra. I'm fine. I'm in the morning of Lima.
We are at the end of afternoon here in Tunisia. So just I see that you are working on the risk management and process optimization. And with these, let's say, teams, it isn't very easy to work with them let's say, in simplify processes. So you talked about the emotional intelligence, and for me it's very important topic and amazing topic. So how can understanding and managing your emotions and those of others team help you build the trust and achieve positive results with your teams?
Yeah, I think, for
It's
example,
important.
yeah. I think the key components talking about intelligence emotional is to self-awarenesses, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. I think this combination of these 5 elements, you can consolidate your intelligence emotional, and you need to share with the other person in the meeting, and when you are negotiation with us, you thinking in these key elements. I think the more important is the empathy, because you in a negotiation you need to have empathy for the other part, and then you need to respond. I hear a phrase that says, in a conversation, you need to hear first, and then you can respond. Respond that if
Listening.
exactly. And if you lose, or if you abandon this conversation and only think that in your objective, you don't have, or you don't achieve a good negotiation, because you don't put in the fits or the other person, right, on the other part. And and these 5 elements, it's also important, principally the empathy.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Maybe I have a last questions to Lee. Yes, Lee, please.
Yeah, I told Mariana I have a hard stop at the hour at 11 o'clock for me. So I want to make a couple of comments. First of all, I don't know if you tracked with Catherine or not, but she really tracked down the PMI line right now, the 5 areas, empathy and all that. I think what's happening in this environment is the creation of this idea that PMI is a community has really caught on. I think it's made a big difference for people. They feel like they're a part of something. And so what I do with my LinkedIn, some of you probably know, I have about 100,000 followers on LinkedIn. I spend 2 to 3 hours a day on LinkedIn. And I only do positive things. I only do questions and answers to people that are requiring some candid opinion. Truthfulness becomes pretty important in this regard. So I think what Catherine's talking about is exactly what I would have said, except her voice is much more attractive than mine. And so you've got to understand that this is not brain surgery, people. Make people feel good about what they do, make them feel comfortable that they've achieved something, and they'll be there for you when you need them. So I appreciate this 1 hour. I wish I could stay, but I've got to go. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing this. I think Mariana and Robinson is a great effort that you're putting together. And I think it's one that I'm not sure everybody understands just how critical this topic is. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for you, Lee.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I wanted to ask him, what is his link for LinkedIn, Lee? If he's still here, you can post it.
I can post.
Dropped.
I can post for Lee.
Yeah.
For Lee. Let
I
me.
think he dropped, yeah.
Yeah. And for the other comment, so when the link it will be available, I can share on the LinkedIn. So at the moment it's not posting YouTube. I hope that it would be very soon. And we need
And when
to.
did you do that talk? How long ago was that talk?
2 days, 2 weeks ago. It was two
Recent.
weeks ago. Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Got it. All right. We'll be looking forward to watching that, definitely. Anybody here else have any questions more? There's a lot of people here in the room, but we can engage some people who are actually watching. And it'll be nice to know where you guys are joining from. And if you have any questions for Catherine.
Mhm.
Actually, this is a debate, so everyone can join in and share whatever they wish, maybe experience in negotiations or something else. So please turn on the microphone, the camera, and let's just hit it. This is a coffee talk, so everyone invited to include it in debate.
Marianne, let's not so go and pick on people, right? That's not we're also we need
Maybe anyone would like to share a hard, well, you learn more from failure and hard moments than from successful ones. Maybe somebody wants to share a moment when they have to do an extra mile to overcome a negotiation process. Please feel free to share with the audience, or otherwise, Omar, you can go to the next to your box of surprises.
Okay. Could I share something? For example, in Lima, the last week we had our Congress. The Congress of Lima is the most representative in all Latam, or in all countries that speak Spanish. And 2 weeks 2 weeks at the end of the Congress, we have, for example, we review the numbers of our Congress, and we have approximately 10,000, yeah, $1,000 of loss. Let me verify. How do I say that? I can. Okay. $10,000 in loss for our Congress. Two weeks at the end of the Congress, but in this time we need to take the decision to invest in some technology and invest in some topics that increase the public of our Congress. And finally, we invest 15,000, more than that we lost. And in the end of the Congress, we have utilities, and we have money to insert to our Congress. I can share that.
Yeah.
I think, Mariana, you have your last word for this topic, or Yosra, you could too.
Yeah, sure. Omar, I think you have some party going on, and you can share it with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would like to invite people from here on my program, and I'll do a special winter edition of Zoom Party. It's like a Jeopardy show. And so we will do it sometime in a couple of weeks. I will decide on a date. But between December and the New Year sometime, or even on the New Year, the week after, we'll do a game here, and we'll have fun in a sort of a, it's called Zoom Party game that I am actually airing shows right now as they were taped last month. So
Oh, interesting.
yeah, so I'll post the link in here, and I will do a special game for the group here. Something for New Year's, but also something to engage people together with. And I've been doing this since 2020, and it's just a fun. I have people from all over the world, from Turkey, from the Balkans, from Africa, who participate, and it'll be interesting. So, yeah.
Oh.
All right. Any
Omar, why don't you show us your DJ side?
I wasn't prepared for that.
By the way, if you don't know, Omar has a DJ version too. So
He has many talents, Omar.
yes,
I have many
yes,
talents.
yes,
I
yes.
have my own show. I have podcasts. I do a game show. I work full time, so I do many things. I tutor kids as well, which I'm about to tutor somebody in about 30 minutes. So I have to leave in a bit. But yeah, I have many. Now, thankfully for the Thanksgiving break, we have some time now to relax and join you guys. But yeah, I did a DJ video as well on my channel, so something
Yeah.
else maybe. But yeah,
By,
awesome. All right.
by the way,
Any
by the
other?
way, invite you for our next webinar. I will organize it on change management and project management. Okay, and how to integrate ADKAR model in the project management with the agile approach. So yeah, I will share this on the LinkedIn. I hope see you and share with us your insight and your expertise.
Awesome, awesome. I also want to say, I think one of my connections, which is, I would like to shout you out, Zarar, if you like to say hello. I know you're there. I see you on my LinkedIn. Please come out. Don't be shy. Say hello for a little bit. And I see you there. Thank you for joining us here. I think you saw the link. I don't know you personally, but I see you there. So if you'd like to say hello, please do. No, looks like Zarar. Okay,
Okay.
that's okay. There he is.
Okay, maybe I have a question. Okay, Zarar is speaking.
Guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry because I, thank you. I just saw this post on the LinkedIn, Umar, Zoom party, yeah. And I joined a little bit late. So I'm trying to catch up with this whole event about project management. Hopefully in the next few sessions, I'll be more clear what is coming up next. And one thing was, like, I was talking today with one of my, I was doing an event on LinkedIn where we were discussing about empathy and kindness, because we all come from diverse towns and diverse cultures. So imagine a world where individuals from all sort of cultures, like in this room, and this we foster some resilience, empathy, and assertiveness. There is a project which I'm still working, that is Otto's learning methodology, and I think I want a world where people support and uplift each other, especially creating that ripple effect for positive change. So I'm looking forward for these sessions to know more about project management. I was in a diverse professional background, so hopefully you guys can in the future events, maybe I can
Excellent, super. I'm glad you're able to give us some words there and joining us for the first time here. I know I was your post, they're brilliant and wonderful, and appreciate you hopping in here and joining the team here and watching what they're doing. So, thank you. Thank you so much. Awesome. All right. All right, we have about 20 minutes to go here. All right.
online.
And who else would like to say anything else? Anybody else? Go ahead and if you want to mute yourself, Zara, if you want to say anything more, or mute yourself. If not, who else would like to say a few words here as we're almost concluding?
Maybe it is good for those who join for the first time, Omar, to recap and mention that the intention of this negotiation program for PMs is to create a safe environment. Well, in this case, project managers or anyone who needs to negotiate for any reason can find a way to enhance or acquire new skills and put them in practice. But this is the spirit of this program, right? So that's why we have intend to do in the last year during the around 10 or 11 events we have since early in January, all right? So we will keep posting new events for help the entire community. Despite you are a project manager or PMO or whatever, but if you are interested in learning how to negotiate, you're in the right place.
Excellent, excellent. Yep, that's correct. Yep. And so we will definitely have some more activities and like doing the game, like I said, that will bring people even closer together and make a lot of more connections for sure. So I think I'm frozen here.
Yes, you are.
I think my screen is frozen.
It looks funny. Maybe this is the part of the party.
Maybe I have a question from coaching, let's say, side, okay? It's important, I think. Why is winning a negotiation is important to us as a negotiator? And what emotion or feeling does it bring up for us? I think it's very important things because it's not only professional target. I think in psychological, let's say, side, it's important for us as a negotiator, or even for the project manager in negotiation. It's very important to him to win this battle. Yeah, but why it's important? I don't know if we can have a feedback from someone, from each of us, why it's so important for us to win a negotiation. So I'm here as a coach now, okay? So as a professional coach, so we will we will dive into something deeper. Yeah, Robinson.
Yeah, well, first we need to be sure what we understand for winning. First thing, right? So you got to have very clear what do you really want, right?
Yeah.
Remember the story of the the wizard, you're not sure about what you really want. Second, my advice is keep your ego always out of the equation. If you're ego driven, you in the short or term, you're going to lose, because people is not stupid. They realize, they notice that you are not what you say you are. So for me, it's more important to create an environment of trust. If you create a trustable environment, then all the doors can get open in the short, mid, or long term, right? Because people trust you, because they see you, because you're transparent, because what you say about the theory, you put it in practice, right? Remember, the leadership is not about, hey, Josra, do this. Hey, Sergio, do that. Hey, Mahana, do. No, I do first. I do the first task, or I teach others how to do it, right? So there is this research I loved when I read for the first time like 6 years ago. It's from the MIT Institute, adaptive leadership. You can Google it, adaptive leadership. And adaptive leadership means Ronald Heifetz is the author of the term and the theory. And believe me, it's quite amazing. It's about being a true leader is not to create followers first. It's to create leaders. That's why the term, the theory is adaptive leadership. So if I am the leader of this group, what about if I die tomorrow, I get sick, or I'm not available? But you can be the leader, or Sergio, or Marjana, or anyone else. Anyone can take my place. So I am not indispensable. I am expendable, right? So that's when people understand that, everybody will say, wow, I want to hear more. I want to be part of that. Because if I will be a good leader, an excellent leader, or a middle leader, it's up to me, right?
Yes.
But the doors are open. The game is on the table and the rules are transparent. So that's what I can say. Keep your ego out of the question. It's not about you, right? History will judge your contribution to the community according to what you did, not according to what you said you were going to do or the theory you know, right? That's my humble opinion.
Thank you. Thank you, Robinson. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Sergio. Is it correct, Sergio?
I think, Sergio, you are...
He's mute. Don't be shy, Sergio.
Hello. No, I'm not. Sometimes, but not now. No, I've got a question. It's an open question. I think it's more than a question for anybody who wants to give an opinion. I think it's a bit more of a kind of topic to develop. I think just an idea. For instance, the time we are living now has changed so much compared to 20 or 30 years ago. I mean, now we have the social networks such as WhatsApp, Instagram, X, and so on. So communication has changed so much, at least the ways we can communicate nowadays. So, and we have the millennium and Z generations. So the question is, and then I wonder, how could and should we adapt our negotiation skills or the ways we do in order to succeed in negotiations with these new generations? If we have to do something, but I think we should do something. That's the question, not open question, because they are digital, almost native ones, and maybe most of us are not. Yeah, so that's the question.
Yeah, very interesting questions. Yes, yes. And with the AI now and with this generation, yes, they will definitely, it will be conflicts, many conflicts, okay, between the generation on this topic. Yeah, I'm definitely, it's very, very important things, I think. Yes. Yeah.
Well, if you're allowed to answer, my dear friend Sergio, I could say that AI, you know, I'm an AI fan, right? I'm a techie guy, but it's just, technology is just a way, it's not the end. So what is the art here? To learn how to use the tech, but not to consider it as a final objective, right? You know, it's all about people in first place. So to communicate properly regarding disregarding the age or the epoch, it's to provide, is to create a way of communication, simple, transparent, clear, that it's catchy for everyone, that anyone could understand, no matter if you're X generation or baby boomer or a millennial, right? So that's what I suggest on that. And AI can help you to provide a draft, to essay, but finally, in the end, you are going to make the communication. So whatever the tool whatever the model, the LLM gives you, you have to supervise, you have to read, you have to make it yours and refine your own, in your own terms, in your own way, and according to the audience you have, right? Because remember, models hallucinate if they are not fed properly. They hallucinate. They give you an answer, right? And the model says, okay, I give you an answer. If you want me another one, I give you another one, and so on. But it doesn't mean the bias of the model. So always you have the final decision, the final word, right? I don't know if you agree with that, Serge.
Yeah. But there is one point that I could highlight here. For instance, I will try to make a conversation with someone else, with a young person, and then that person, I will feel comfortable if we do a conversation face to face, in person. Maybe it's not possible. The other person will try to give some words by chatting with Teams or WhatsApp or whatever. And if we really want to, are we going to have a conversation by Teams or by by Zoom or something like that, and that person will try not to turn on the camera because he feels more comfortable that way. Even not speaking, they will try to write. So then I will try to do the way I prefer, and the other person will try to do the same, and the ways will be different. And then maybe it's an exception, but when this generation, in maybe 5, 10 years, more years, will be the majority and in the labor in the market, maybe the ways conversations will take place will not be as we think it will, or as we are comfortable with. That's my question about. So how can we do? Do we need to adapt? Do we need to, let's say, talk 3 minutes and then post something in X or in LinkedIn, because all the people will have a conversation, and then that person will post something slightly different in the social networks, and then I will lose something. And I'm not aware of. That was more or less the focus of my question.
I want to add something, Sergio. Yes, that's you are right. For example, all the companies in Peru, I think that happens in all the world. The first communication is through WhatsApp, because the principal public or the principal clients are people that are young, and people don't want to make a call. They prefer to respond to the answer, or to respond all the questions through only WhatsApp or text message. And the other point that is so important to set is, what is the value for the different generation? For example, for the people that born in the 40s to the 60s, the first value for these baby boomers is about loyalty, stability, and respect to the authority. But now, for example, young people don't have respect for the authority. All the line is totally horizontal, right? And the other generation, the generation born in the 16th, the first value is about independence, that work-life balance in order to make results. The next generation that born in the 80s, the first value is about the innovation, flexibility, and social responsibility. For example, in this year or in these times, young people respect a lot of the environment. Many movements or ONGs talking about or respect to the nature is very strong in all the countries, right? And finally, that the people born in the millennials or in the 2000, right? That I think this is the crystal crystal generation, or the crystal person, that the most important is the inclusivity or the mental health on the physic health that is most important, that person, and then in the second line is their work or the others in this type of relation. But that's right, Sergio, is a and I think we need to adapt, and I think we need to adapt with all this type of person in order to have empathy with the other generation, to have a good negotiation at the end. That's that I want to say.
Can I tell something?
Yeah, Musa.
Yes, I'm listening from the beginning of the conversation. I repeat again my knowledge. But every time we say that we have to adapt new generation, we have to take good things. For example, AI for the contract base, very good, because for example, I am dealing with the big metro project. We have 30,000, 40,000 page contract. One person as a project manager, you can't read it. But if you download the AI, this is a very helpful tool. Like Robinson says, we have to use the tools, but end of the day, we are deciding the decision, our decision. But what I am doing on my team, I want to push them to adapt to us as well, new generation. Because new generation, some behavior very not acceptable. That's why what we can do when we are adapting them, some things, because we need to adapt, but we have to push them to adapt us as well to do the job properly. New generation, they want to do the job quickly, but not properly. That is biggest problem. Every time they are leaving their job unfinished, and you have to tidy up behind them. That's why my personal idea, technology things, we can use the tools and adapt, learn, because we have to do it this way. But new generation, we have to push them to adapt us for the good way. My idea like this.
I want to add something on that, Musa. Thank you for your opinion. I 100% sure with you. I was young as sometime, as all of us were, right? So my opinion is, despite the generations, despite the style, despite anything, in the end, numbers rule, number one. So that means your product is 10 points, 9 points, 8 points, 1 point. If it's 8 points, profit coming. 0 or 1 point, no profit, loss, bankruptcy of the company, right? So despite whatever the world says about this inclusivity, this blah, blah, in the end, big companies, serious companies, professional companies will need to say, in your private life, you crystal generation guy, do whatever you want, do as you want. But in my company, you have to re-educate yourself. We have to re-educate you according to the company culture, so you can fulfill the expectations the company has on you and your role and your performance. If you agree with that, we will pay what you want to get. Your expectation will be fulfilled, but we need you sign your commitment here. Otherwise, next one, and so on, right? Because no company will accept people knowing that that person is very likely to fail, right? I wouldn't. I would prefer to keep searching and do a better headhunting, to continue reviewing more CVs. Every day you get thousands of professionals going to the market. So you have a lot of people to take from. Maybe 20 years there were not so much offer in the market for specific IT roles or project management, but we have plenty of now. That's what I will add to your opinion.
Okay, the word goes back to Joshua.
So I am so excited today to share with you this webinar and especially this topic with the wonderful experts. So I'm very happy. Thank you, Marjana, for giving me this opportunity to share with you. Thank you for all of you. It was a pleasure. And I hope see you in the next event. And keep in touch. So we have many amazing other topics. So it was a pleasure for me. I'm sorry, I just need to leave, but we will see you. Okay, I'm looking forward to see you in another event. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yosra.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Yosra. See you.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
See you guys.